We got a question or comment. What we would suggest for cutting tools, saws, and axes. It's hard to say because I modify my tools to suit my needs. Some people aren't handy, so to say out of the box, this is what you need, I can't do that for you. I can show you what I've got. You can make your decision. What to start with. Start with saws. This is a Pro Point saw from Princess Auto. It was $5.99 on sale. Works good for fine cutting. Not so great for bushcrafting where you gotta cut a lot of material. So that's kind of out. My $4 fine. You remember my video on it? I don't like radius saws. I can't get as much of a cut. A professional arborist, they use them, but I'm no professional. I'm a hacker. So I wouldn't choose this. This was one of my very first Marico. I had removed the plastic to lighten it up so I could use it for bushcrafting. My theory is keep it as light as you possibly can. If you got to pack it in, you got to pack it out. It's seen its life. I've sharpened it several times. I got to reset the blades. Is it still got life? Yeah. But I've moved on to better ones. Thinner blades, sharper teeth. I'm currently using in between the Fiskars 6-inch, which I got for $5 on sale at Walmart. It's a composite body, slide out instead of your normal multi-position. This is Pocket Boy. I've broken the tip off already. I use my tools. I abuse my tools. I test them. The Pocket Boy has held up pretty good. This one's held up pretty good. Now, it's lighter than the Pocket Boy. Long term, if I only have one choice, I think I'd go with the Pocket Boy over the Fiskars. I'd be happy with either. I got this one from Princess Auto. It was $10. It came out before the Game Boy, so I have a stinking suspicion it might be a Game Boy that wasn't quite perfect. I took it, put it right in my 72-hour kit. I've never used it. Hopefully I never will need it, but it's there if I do need it. Your Colgan's little fold-up Sierra saw, these things are a razor blade with a handle. They work great, except you're not going to process wood. You're going to use it for making your bushcraft tools. If you got an axe where you've broken the handle, you can cut off a log and make it with this, but it's not a heavy saw. I keep this one in my pocket. And I keep this one in my pocket. Sometimes the Pocket Boy. If I'm going to process a lot of wood, yeah, I'm using a regular handsaw. The reason? I got 22 inches of travel, which means every time I take a stroke, I'm cutting 3 times the length of a Pocket Boy, twice the length of a Game Boy. That makes sense to me. 1 stroke equals 2. That's less power. That's more productivity. Hard to pack in? Yeah. Impossible? No. If we're going to do a serious build, that's what I'll use. This is Heather's pick out of hers. It's a Walmart Vermont American. It was $9.96 in Canada. It needs to be tightened up already. It's, you know what? For a cheap saw, it works good. It's about equivalent in weight to the Pocket Boy. And similar cut. Almost 90% of the saws that come out today are Japanese style cut. The bow saws, I don't find them as effective as the new Japanese style cut. That's my personal opinion. Heather's hatchet. It's a beautiful little hatchet. Works great for striking ferro rods because it's got square edges, but the head is just a little bit light. We're going to modify it. We're going to weld it up. Works great for batoning, but once I weld some more material on the backside, and I didn't like these little serrated edges, it just does nothing when you go to baton on it. Every time the wood hits, it splits the wood and deflects a lot of the energy from that. I found that with this machete. It had saw teeth on it too. I ground them off because you go to baton with it, a lot of the kinetic energy went into your upper piece of wood through the saw teeth rather than forcing it through into the lower piece of wood. I'm not a big fan of machetes. I can get almost as much out of a cleaver as I can a machete. And I use them. If you look at them, they're dull, they're beat up. I'm using this stuff. Downstairs, this is my splitting axe. It's dull because I hit the cement with it. You gotta kneel with it because of the length. So keep that in mind. Anytime that you're working with something, keep yourself safe. My homemade tomahawk. I designed it so the handle would come off easily because I know I can break this in an instant. So, you walk up to a green piece of wood. If you got your little saw, you can cut through this pretty easy. Make yourself a new one. Just go up to a tree, about the right size, cut it off, take the bark off, slide it down, leave it extra long so that as you're cutting, it will actually work its way tighter. This was a gift from my mother. Nice little hatchet. Would I use it for bushcrafting? No. Number one, it's too heavy. The split in the handle vibrates every time you hit. You know what? If it was all I had, I could use it. Same with any of this stuff. If that was all I had, I could use it because I've been doing it for many years. This was a gift from my grandmother who willed it to me. I've never used it and I never will. It's just a collector's item that I leave sitting up by the stove. If you can see the dust from the stove on it. This was probably one of my first hatchets. I used to use it when I was in Boy Scouts and it would take me forever to cut anything. I would be further off with a cleaver. Just because of the length of it, you don't get that much swing. Like, it's another ornament. Box tools. Love them. They work great. They're brutal. They're rough. You use them for cutting concrete. I beat on this thing. I use another hammer and I smash on top of it when I'm cutting a piece of concrete. Works great. Do I care about the edge? No. It's a rough tool. Would I use it for bushcraft? If I had to, yeah. But I don't have to. So, it stays in my pickup truck. Here's another. See how thin that is? This is excellent for cutting. Not good for splitting. Batoning, maybe. But this is another antique that will stay hung up by the stove. This is mine that I made. Why do I prefer it? Single bevel. I can get more penetration than even a cleaver because of the balance of the weight of the whole axe itself. There's a video on this. I'm not going to go through much more. Now, as for heavy splitting, if I'm going to split, and I'm going to do a lot of splitting, I would probably take this to the campsite. Why? One swing, I'm through a 4-inch log, no problem. I'm never going to get hung up. I've modified it. It used to have a rounded tip. I flattened it out and ground it very bluntly so that when I make that swing, if it's frozen wood, it's going to bounce out. If that's just my personal preference again. You know, at home for splitting, this is what I use. This is the Beast. It's homemade. It's heavy, 4 to 6 pounds, but I use it for splitting oak, whatever. Doesn't matter. You have to find the tool that works for you. Now, if I'm going to process wood out in the bush, this is the one that I would take with me. And I've used this one since I've been 18. It's seen a lot of use. It's seen so much use that the handle is actually bent. But the profile is so thin that on sumac 2-inch, one swing. What more do you want? Something to think about. If you think my collection is good, I've actually liquidated some. I don't hang on to stuff that doesn't work. Or if I find that it works really well, I'll give it to Heather. Stuff, I bought saws that right out of the package didn't cut. And they went right back to the store. I'm like, hey, if you can't provide me with a product that works when I pull it out of the package, I don't want it. Any other questions? Let me know. Well, don't forget, you want steel toes. That's 1.5 pounds. This is oak. You can hear the difference, can't you? Never split it. But this is oak. I'm halfway through. 2 swings. Another piece of oak. Heather's little hatchet. Not bad. Cleaver. Missed. Pretty close. And mine. One, two, three.
Now you know why I design my own stuff. Bye for now.